Star Trek's new WWE casting continues an exciting trend The Rock started 25 years ago. For decades, Star Trek has been home to some of the most iconic actors in television and film history, but one of its newest casting choices has sparked excitement for a reason nobody saw coming. It continues a unique tradition of bringing professional wrestlers into the world of sci-fi storytelling. With the new WWE superstar set to join the Star Trek universe, the franchise is embracing a legacy that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson first established 25 years ago when he appeared in Star Trek Voyager. This isn't just a gimmick. Wrestling stars bring a unique charisma, physicality, and presence that aligns perfectly with Star Trek's blend of drama, morality tales, and larger-than-life conflicts. What began as a one-off guest spot for The Rock has evolved into a fun, crowd-pleasing tradition that keeps surprising audiences and bridging fan communities in exciting ways. Let's break down why this casting move matters, how The Rock's Voyager cameo set the tone, and why WWE superstars feel like a natural fit for Star Trek's ongoing storytelling. The Rock's unexpected Star Trek debut. Back in 1999, long before he became the world's highest-paid actor, Dwayne Johnson was primarily known as the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. But in Star Trek, Voyager's episode Tsunkatse, fans were treated to an unexpected sight: The Rock in full alien makeup, facing off against 7 of 9 Jeri Ryan in a brutal gladiatorial arena. The episode featured Johnson playing a Pandari champion, a hulking fighter who used his wrestling charisma and physical dominance to captivate the crowd. The role was brief but unforgettable. Not only did it serve as a clever cross-promotional move between Star Trek and the then WWF, now WWE, but it also showed how wrestling's theatrical flair could enhance Star Trek storytelling. At the time, The Rock was still climbing the ranks in Hollywood. His role in Voyager marked one of his earliest non-wrestling acting appearances, years before The Scorpion King, Fast and Furious, and his ascent to global stardom. For Trekkies, it's now a legendary, before-they-were-famous moment. For wrestling fans, it was proof that their larger-than-life hero could transition into mainstream entertainment. Why wrestlers work so well in Star Trek? On paper, the idea of bringing professional wrestlers into Star Trek might sound strange. After all, this is a franchise known for philosophical debates, moral quandaries, and science-driven drama. But in practice, wrestlers have proven to be a surprisingly natural fit. Here's why. 1. Physical presence. Star Trek often introduces alien warriors, soldiers, or intimidating villains who need to stand toe-to-toe with its heroes. Wrestlers, with their size and conditioning, bring immediate credibility to such roles. 2. Theatrical training. Wrestling is essentially live-action theater with combat choreography. Performers are trained to project their personalities to the back row of an arena, which translates seamlessly into the heightened drama of Star Trek. 3. Crossover appeal. Casting a WWE superstar brings an entirely new audience into Star Trek. Wrestling fans who may never have checked out the franchise suddenly tune in, boosting visibility. 4. Legacy factor. With The Rock's appearance now a legendary piece of Trek trivia, bringing in more wrestlers taps into that fun history. So when fans heard about a new WWE star joining the Star Trek fold, the reaction wasn't skepticism, it was excitement. The new WWE casting and its significance. The newest WWE addition to the Star Trek franchise announced for an upcoming Paramount Plus project continues the trend that began with The Rock. While details about the role are under wraps, the performer's presence alone is a statement. Star Trek knows how to blend iconic acting with unexpected casting flair. It also reflects how modern Star Trek embraces pop culture connections without losing its identity. Just as classic episodes in the 1960s used guest stars like Ricardo Montalban or Frank Gorshin, today's Trek isn't afraid to pull from unexpected corners of entertainment. Wrestling stars bring the extra spark, keeping the franchise fresh while respecting its legacy. Other wrestlers who've stepped into Star Trek. While The Rock's appearance is the most famous, he's not the only one to bridge the worlds of wrestling and Trek. Over the years, a handful of other wrestling icons have popped up in surprising ways. Tom Magee, a Canadian wrestler briefly associated with WWE in the 1980s, Magee appeared as an alien in Star Trek: The Next Generation. Though not as big a star as The Rock, his cameo showed that Trek had always been open to physically imposing performers. Paul White, The Big Show. While not directly cast in Trek, White has long been rumored to have auditioned for roles in sci-fi projects. Fans often speculate how his size and presence would have worked in Trek's universe. Current crossover potential with wrestlers like John Cena, Dave Bautista, and Sasha Banks successfully transitioning into Hollywood and other sci-fi franchises. Guardians of the Galaxy, The Mandalorian. Trek casting a WWE star feels perfectly in step with broader trends. Every time Trek taps into wrestling talent, it becomes a fun cultural talking point. Fans debate whether the role will be campy, menacing, or surprisingly nuanced. And more often than not, the gamble pays off. Wrestling and Trek. Two fandoms, one passion. At first glance, Star Trek and WWE might seem worlds apart. One is a utopian vision of the future rooted in exploration and diplomacy. The other is a bombastic, adrenaline-fueled showcase of athleticism and drama. But dig deeper, and the connection makes perfect sense. Myth-making of both Trek and wrestling are about mythic archetypes, heroes, villains, underdogs, and epic clashes that reflect timeless human stories. Community Trekkies and wrestling fans alike form passionate communities, attending conventions, sharing lore, and debating their favorites. Theatrical escapism, at their core, both are forms of escapism that invite audiences to immerse themselves fully in a world where stakes are high and characters are larger than life. So when a WWE superstar dons prosthetics to become an alien warrior, it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like a meeting of two grand traditions of storytelling. How this casting honors The Rock's legacy. It's impossible to ignore the shadow of Dwayne Johnson when discussing wrestlers in Star Trek. His single-episode appearance has grown into a piece of Trek trivia that still delights fans at conventions. It represents a moment when the franchise wasn't afraid to take risks, and when wrestling proved its performers could transition into serious acting careers. By continuing that tradition today, Star Trek isn't just making a casting choice, it's acknowledging a legacy. It's honoring the fact that The Rock's appearance was more than a novelty. It was the beginning of a trend that recognizes how versatile wrestlers can be as actors. And for fans who remember Johnson's Pandora champion slamming 7 of 9 with a rock-bottom style move, the idea of another WWE star stepping into Trek is a chance to relive that magic all over again. What this means for the future of Star Trek, the new WWE casting isn't just a one-off stunt. It points toward a future where Star Trek continues to embrace unexpected talent, experiment with crossovers, and expand its appeal beyond its core audience. Imagine a Klingon warlord played by a larger-than-life wrestler, or a Starfleet officer whose imposing presence hides a surprising depth of character. Wrestlers bring both physical credibility and a flair for melodrama, two qualities Trek can use in endless ways. If the franchise keeps building on The Rock's legacy,